Colt, good to see you. Welcome to Pop Turnative, man.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, brother.
Happy holidays. It's that
Happy
time of year. I
holidays.
mean, I kind of dressed up a little bit. My camera's a little, you can see it's a little
No,
festive
I
here.
like it. I like it.
It's a
Like, gotta go.
festive movie, and it's The Merry Gentleman going to be on Netflix. And you're so good in this. Congratulations. I feel
Thank
like
you
if
so much.
people go in fresh though and introduce themselves to your character, I feel like it's best that way. Do you think about that at all? Like, I feel like it's
100%.
a nice little kind of surprise a little bit. He's such a good, fun guy.
Thank you so much. I mean, I like him a lot, so I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, I think especially with regards to him, like the best way to go in is just kind of clean slate. Because even if you wanted to, you're not going to know who he is from
No.
just even the first scene or the first two. Like Marla Sokoloff, our writer, she did such an incredible job of building deeper characters, richer, like more full-bodied characters that have larger purposes than they seem.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really good kind of I guess metaphor for the movie itself. It's this beautiful, simple, joyous thing, but it's also so much deeper and richer. The more that you look into it and on repeated watchings, you get so much more from it. And
It
if you want, you can get the surface fun,
yeah.
but you can also really deep, reach deep down and get something else.
I'm curious what the mindset is when you're attached to a holiday film because I feel like there's so much to think about specifically about, what your character is going to be doing in that film, the fact that you're in a film that might be kind of played year round, there's not much shelf life. Like, what is that kind of mindset when you sign on for something like this? Because I feel like it's so crazy with holiday films. You know what I mean? Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strange concept, right? But I will say it was exciting because of the truncated window of time that it feels like you actually get out of this. And I think the great thing about this is, yes, it takes place during the holidays, but it's just a great movie that you can watch anytime. And I think that was the best thing for me and the way that I approached it. And I think the way that all of us really did was we were just there to be in service to the story, be in service to our audience. And I think that the writing really did a good job of that. I think the whole team, I mean, the direction, Peter Sullivan, our cinematographer, Lars, like they just did an incredible job of creating something that it's like when you watch Die Hard, you have to convince people you're like, this is a Christmas movie. You're like,
I
no,
still
but
think it's a Christmas movie. I
of
definitely.
course, of course, it 100% is, but there's elements that you can take anytime. And I really like that.
It's really funny because there's a film like Ryan Reynolds' Just Friends is one of my favorite films. And like that is a Christmas
Dude,
movie.
nobody talks about that movie. Thank you so much.
That movie is amazing. It's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. But it's funny because I don't watch that movie as much during holidays. Like I watch that movie all year round. So it's like
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you'll find bits. I think people are gonna find that this movie sticks out to them, and that I'm hoping that they go back to it in the middle of the year because it's not necessarily just the holiday section and the holiday aspect of it that they're focused on.
I mean, your get-ups and costumes are holiday themed, but there's other things as well. Well, it's funny.
We don't even wear them the whole time, so it's perfect. This is great.
Yeah, there's that scene in Just Friends too, literally where he's pissed off and his neighbor's like, "Merry Christmas, neighbor." He throws a snowball at him, like he says it in the movie.
Oh God, I missed that movie. I gotta watch that again. That was one of the first things my wife and I ever talked about.
Oh,
was
so good. I had Fred Awanek on the show a while ago, played his friend, and we like reenacted a scene on like my show because I love that movie. And it was like he skis in his jeans. It's Dinkelman, Dusty Dinkelman. It was like the greatest. It was one of the highlights of my show at the time. Like it was so cool. But like, okay, so I do have specific kind of questions about the film and the holiday component, but you bring up something cool, interesting about at the end of the day, it's all storytelling and it's a film for kind of all year round, even though it has kind of Christmas holiday themes.
Yeah.
I'm interested because maybe not only your character, but a lot of these characters in this film, especially like Chad and Britt specifically, it's a lot of self-reflection, figuring things out, right? Soul searching. So from a kind of script to screen journey, like reading this and seeing it come to life on screen from the script, what's that like for you, Colt, in regards to like playing these characters that are doing this self-reflection and soul searching? Like, is it more fun? Is it more challenging from an acting perspective? Because from a viewer perspective, they don't know they're lost, right? So I find that very interesting.
Well, I always go back to it's what Solomon's paradox. We give better advice to others than we will ourselves accept in the same exact situation, right? So that's what I love about watching these characters is we're like, I would never do that. And then we get into a relationship and we're like, I'm doing that, aren't I?
Yeah.
I'm doing that. I'm doing that exactly. And so when you have great writing like Marla did here, you really can take a second and the whole goal is to see how much of this character is you, right? And to put as much of your honesty into that. And sometimes that's easier, sometimes that's harder. I found that it was really easy on this because everything at the end of the day, whether it was, Britt's character, Ashley, not realizing what she had or realizing it or any number of things, don't want to give anything away. But in those moments, it's really just, I think it helps us see ourselves more clearly, reflect in those other characters.
For sure.
And because of separation, it allows us that space to maybe make even better decisions in our own lives, right? Because again, it's not us, it's them. But then it's like us separately.
And we think about a lot of these things around this time of year too, if you think about it.
Yes, of course. Of course. I mean, there's a magic in the air and there's a magic in this movie that I hope that's what the audiences take from it, is that little bit of trust in yourself. And most importantly, that when you trust in your joy and your gifts, that you're able to give those back. And I think that's my favorite part of this story is that, yes, there's a meet cute, right? There's the classic holiday meet cute, but that's not the point of the film. The point of the film, she's doing something for her family, for her community. It's this being in service and giving back. And that's the thing that I keep coming back to about this film and that I loved about it so much in the first place. And that's what I love about Troy is whatever he looks like on the surface, he's constantly in service to his friends, to his family, to his community.
Well, that's a really good segue to my next question. It's almost like you knew what I was going to ask. We're on the same page here, Colt. I'm loving this right now.
I'm loving it, dude.
Because your character, right? Like a lot of other characters, you have some scenes in this film. We're not going to go into big details, but because we wanted them to go fresh. I'm telling you, I always walk on eggshells with interviews. Like we're talking about a Netflix film. Cobra Kai just dropped on Netflix, and man, doing those interviews recently with what happened in the new episodes.
I can't even imagine with something like that.
At one point, I had to just say, okay, we're doing spoilers, but we're gonna put it out later.
You're gonna have to at some point.
Oh man, it was like those were the hardest interviews because like I don't know if you see, well, you're part of the Netflix family. I'm sure it's gonna come up. Some stuff has happened, which is.
And nice. I also came up with the OG. So like when that came out in the first place, I was like sold.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that. So in this film, your character Troy, like you said, you have some scenes that are some fun, over the top, goofy scenes, but you also have some scenes, as does Chad, that are more kind of serious, heartfelt scenes. So I'm wondering, how do you balance that from an acting storyteller perspective? Is that something you think about? Because it's like, it's all storytelling at the end of the day, but I'm sure like the mindset changes a little bit, especially with the dancing and everything.
I will say yes, and it's when that's when you rely. I believe when you rely really heavily on your team that surrounds you, and from Netflix to hybrid productions to Peter, our director, to Lars, our cinematographer, to Marla, our writer, like I just knew the team around me had me, and that I could take big swings, and that Peter would go, hey, we're going to pull this back a little bit. Hey, let's come in here. Hey, pump this up a little bit. And that the reality of us is, I believe the majority of us as people have those big swings. We have those times when we're with our friends and we are wild. We are doing and making faces and laughing. And having these moments that are so big. And then we also, in that same night, 10 minutes later, can be with the same friend pulled in and locked in. And you're just right there and you are settled and you are having a moment with them that you will remember for the rest of your life. You'll remember both of those moments. You may even forget that they were the same night because they're so absolutely formative.
Mhm.
And so I try not to, I mean, it's like when you get to play a villain, you can't judge the villain,
No.
right? You gotta
Or
see
is
it from
there
the,
even a villain? Like, that's even the big question. They're just misunderstood people.
like there's something gets everybody somewhere, right?
Yes.
There's a journey.
Mhm.
And it's, I like that in this, there was always, I just felt like I don't have to worry about this.
Mhm.
On the page, it felt right. And then in the setting, it just, I can't even explain, man. Being
Yep.
in the rhythm room, you were like, wow.
Well,
Wow.
it's really fun and interesting that you say that too, because you're making something that has a lot kind of happening on the surface where it's like a holiday film, but it's way more than that. And
Yep.
to kind of add to that, it becomes a little bit of like a three-headed monster because it's like people are going to be able to see what you did on a global scale with Netflix. So I'm wondering like if that's something that comes to mind as well with the fact that it's like you have a really good opportunity to do something really cool with a film like this, where we said it has kind of the Christmas component and the self-reflection all year round. And you get to kind of disseminate that to the world very soon. Like, do you think
Yeah,
about that? What's that like for you?
absolutely. I mean, that's when you count your blessings that you're part of the Netflix family.
Yep.
And with, when we got the ability to watch it, that first screener, and all of a sudden you hear the boom boom, that Netflix thing happens, and that, yeah, it just comes up like, wow, I'm really on Netflix. Like,
Yep.
and you realize that one of the things that they do so well is tell stories. And that's, I started my career on Broadway, and I've been fortunate to
Mhm.
go back and forth between film and TV and Broadway. And I'm currently in Aladdin on Broadway.
Yep.
And every night it just reminds me, and I work for another big company for Disney. And I just remember when these larger companies that put so much care into the work, um, it's about, again, being a service to the audience
Mhm.
and getting to tell those stories. And so I just get very excited that I'm a part of this massive, massive worldwide company that wants to tell good stories.
And I
So
do find it interesting as well because you mentioned the Broadway, and congratulations, by the way, of your
oh,
success
thanks
there
so
because
much.
it's incredible. It's so amazing. I went to a school. I'm originally from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I went to a school called St. George's, and we were known for a lot of our high school productions. And I was on like stage crew basically. I was follow spot lead operator, follow spot
Oh, so
operator.
spot up. Let's
Dude,
go.
you know what? The one thing I love, and you get to experience this all the time, is like we did like it's the end of the year, right? So there's like 4 shows, right, that we plan for, right? So we do like the Monday through Friday, actually like the whole week. There's something like you wake up in the morning and there's this energy in the air that you're about to perform for people, right? Like 6 hours before. Like, do you know what I mean by that? I wasn't even in the
Yes.
production. I was behind.
No,
It was
oh,
like
no,
it's
no,
the
no.
yeah.
Here's the thing. Nobody that is a part, backstage, front of house, the ushers, anybody, it doesn't happen if any of those people and if any of those teams pull out.
Yeah.
So the show doesn't happen without spot ops. The
Mhm.
show doesn't happen without the stage managers and the crew and the ushers and all of that. You know what I mean?
No.
So I completely get that. It's the best feeling in the world. And I
Oh.
think about that every night. And I've done, excuse me, dude, I've done Aladdin 1,100 times. I have done this show, this role. I've said these words. Well, I've said the words like 1,090 times because like I've messed up lines like 10 times. But I've done it 1,100 times. And every time you go out, and the best thing I ever heard, a lot of us have heard, well, it's somebody's first time, right? It's somebody's first show ever. It's somebody's last show.
Mm.
And when you realize that, time that we don't know how much time we have, and it makes telling that story to the best of your ability so much more important.
Yeah. No, it's so well said. I love that world is so fascinating to me. And also the fact that it's like every night is a different crowd, right? It's different people. It's
100%. The
tourists.
energy
It's people
is different.
coming from all like the tourism component comes in because people from all around the
Yeah.
world are coming to Broadway. And it's like something that someone maybe laughed at, chuckled at, might not like the day after. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
We
Oh yeah.
we could do another whole interview about this, man. But The American Gentleman going to streaming soon on Netflix worldwide. I'm so happy for
Sure.
you and the cast. Cool. This was great. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the next time we get to talk.
Dude,
This was
anytime, man.
a nice
Open
combo.
application. I feel like you're gonna be on that leaderboard where you're gonna be on this show like every time you have a project. It's gonna be a thing.
Thank you so much. I'm trying.
Your
Got my stuff.
Instagram account is the best way people keep up to date with everything, right?
Absolutely. At Colt Prattes, just my name. Colt.
Awesome.
I have a enunciation because I'm from Georgia.
Awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turn. YouTube.com/PopTurn for previous episodes. Until next time, it's Colt and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.